Coming up in 90 minutes, Minority in Parliament calls for cancellation of leaked papers in ongoing WASSCE. We speak to them live as stakeholders in education call for bipartisan investigations. Also, Foreign Affairs Minister Shirley Ayokobotre insists government will continue enforcing laws governing retail business in Ghana, despite agitations by Nigerian traders especially. We hear from the minister who has begun engagement with a Nigerian counterpart on the matter. And as Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia argues the NPP administration has delivered over 17,000 infrastructure projects with an eye on value for money, the impact of these interventions on citizens' quality of life has been questioned. We hear from government, civil society, and take you live to our reporters who have been tracking some of these projects. Good afternoon and welcome to The Pulse with me, Daniel Daze. And our first story, some social, political and governance analysts have commended the Akufo-Addo administration's delivery of infrastructure projects, but are raising questions on direct benefits to the citizenry. It comes after Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's presentation yesterday, which argued that the government has undertaken more than 17,000 infrastructure projects. This, he says, is better than what was provided by the opposition NDC in its 8 years in office. First, on the industrialization drive, Dr. Bawumia said 122 new factories have been set up in collaboration with the private sector.
Under the One District, One Factory program, 183 companies are currently benefiting from the One District, One Factory initiative, out of which 261 are existing companies. The 1D1F doesn't only deal with new companies. If you are an existing company and you need a capital injection to expand, you can benefit from the incentives of the 1D1F. So don't say that, oh, I know this company is already been in existence, so it cannot count. No, if it has come for support through the 1D1F, it will be counted. So out of the 183 companies, 61 are existing companies, while 122 are new companies. To date, 48 of the existing company projects have been completed and are operational. Of the 122 new companies, 28 are completed, while 31 are at various stages of completion. In addition, 58 special youth-enabled 1D1F projects have common user processing factories with financing from the African Development Bank, and these are under construction.
On roads, he said government is constructing the first 4-tier interchange in West Africa and other projects with focus on value for money.
We have the Pokwasi interchange. This is a 4-tier interchange in West Africa. It's the first 4-tier interchange in West Africa. The first. That's the Pokwasi interchange. The loan agreement for this project was signed in November 2016 for a 3-tier interchange. When we came into office, we looked at it from a value for money perspective, renegotiated it for a 4-tier interchange for the same amount of money. For the same amount of money. We have the Obechebi-Lamte interchange, which is 55% complete, and I just cut the sword for the construction of the Nungwa interchange, which is yet to really start. But this is the highest number of interchanges, that is 5, that are being constructed in the first term of any government since independence. This is the highest number. But we are not finished. A 6th interchange, the PTC interchange in Takoradi, which will be the first interchange in the Western region, we will cut the sword next month for the start of that work under the Sino Hydro project. It is important to note that the cost of the Tema, Tamale, Pokwasi, and Obechebi-Lamte interchanges is $289 million. 4 interchanges. Together, $289 million. While the cost of the Kwame Nkrumah interchange was contracted at 260 million. I'll just leave that for you to ponder.
Now, Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah insists that questions need to be raised about the cost of previous road projects, as the evidence shows the NPP is getting a better deal.
Anybody who listened to the Vice President heard the Vice President say quite clearly projects which were inherited, which have been completed. I'm sure anybody who paid attention to the presentation of the Vice President heard him clearly speak about projects that we inherited, which we have completed, and then the new projects. For example, the Pokwase interchange, which he speaks about. He speaks clearly about the fact that it was contracted by the previous administration. What does that mean? Contracted by them as a 3-tier interchange. This administration, without adding $1 more, without increasing the cost, renegotiated it to a 4-tier interchange. So I think it's been quite clear in giving credit where credit is due, showing the projects we have completed and not abandoned, and the new projects we've done. For our colleagues, you notice that sometimes they say we have abandoned their projects. Then when you account for it and say these are projects we inherited and we have completed, they say you are not giving us enough credit. We've mentioned all of those. But beyond those ones, 17,000 other projects across the country. And the database has been provided. You, our colleagues in the media, have an opportunity to check and come and give us feedback.
How crucial would you say, as Information Minister, this town hall exercise at this crucial moment of electioneering? How is this going to play out in the days ahead, inching closer to December 7th?
Well, we believe that as an administration, we have an obligation to account to our people for what we have done in 3.5 years. When we do that and do it well, it serves as a testament to the people who would then factor it into their decision making on whether or not we have distinguished ourselves in a first term enough to deserve a second term.
Now, in the area of agriculture, Vice President Dr. Bawumia said 372 dams have been completed to support irrigation in Northeast, Upper East and Northern regions.
Then is implementing a holistic plan to provide farmers and households access to water for all year-round farming. Under the plan, we have 3 components. We have the One Village, One Dam, or the Small F Dam program. And yes, as you saw from the video, the Small F Dams, the small dams, are nowhere near Akosombo Dam in size and reach. But they are the practical response to the needs of the people and their realities on the ground. The documentary that was shown earlier shows the impact of these small F dams and the appreciation of the beneficiaries in all constituencies in the 5 northern regions where they have been completed, including, I must add, the district of Borehole, where they are very happy about. We have awarded 560 of these contracts for these small F dams. To date, we have constructed 435 dams, 372 have been completed, and 63 are ongoing. And each dam is expected to provide water for up to 5 hectares of land. And completion of this project will deliver the largest stock of small F dams ever constructed in this country. The largest stock. And each small F dam contains 30,000 cubic meters of water when full, and this is enough to survive a greater part of the average dry season in any year.
Now, Albert Sori is our Upper East Regional Correspondent. And Albert, you have been checking on the dam projects. What specific project sites did you visit, and what did you find?
Yes, Daniel. So we've been checking some of the dams that have been recorded as completed dams in the tracker that was, put up yesterday when the Vice President had the town hall meeting. One of such dams is the Dachio Dam in the Bolgatanga East District. The other one is at Kajelo in the Kasana West District. Now, these are 2 dams that we have visited in the past when we were reporting about the extent of work done on the One Village, One Dam projects. Now, even though these 2 dams have been recorded as completed dams, what we have been able to gather is that these dams have not been improved upon since the last time we visited. In January, we were at Kajilo, where the dam had dried up after the farmers used it for a while to do their dry season cultivation. Just in January, the dam had dried up and there was no water left in it for them to be able to use. Now, at Dachio, that dam was described as a football park by the chief because it was flat. And in fact, that dam has never been able to be used for dry season farming. So we checked again to see if maybe they try to improve on these dams, for which reason they may have recorded them as completed dams. What we have found is that these dams are still as they were, same size, no improvement has been done on them whatsoever. And so the challenge of the poor construction and the fact that these dams were not big enough to contain water to last farmers throughout the year, still that problem still exists. And so the people are surprised that they would see that they have completed these 2 dams. Now, sorry, in the Garut district, there's a dam there called the Zansiribuluga Dam. That dam actually was singled out for, if you like, praise by the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana when they recently released their research findings, which indicated that 90% of dams under the One Village, One Dam initiative cannot be used for dry season farming. That particular dam in Timpani, called the Zansiribuluga Dam, was used as a case study where they indicated that if the rest of the dams under 1B1D were constructed like that one, then we would be making a headway because that particular dam was good enough and that people had been able to use it for dry season farming. In November, for instance, when they visited, they realized that many farmers had cultivated onions that they had done from that particular dam. And that dam has been listed in the tracker that it is a completed dam. So for that one, I can speak to the fact that it is good enough. We are still checking on the rest of them.
Albert, let's focus on the 2 reports that you have presented, 3 in fact. One being completed, satisfying the people, the other 2 leaving much to be desired. What would you say is the difference? Do you see a difference in terms of construction, for instance?
Yes, the difference is in the construction. If you take in the Dachio one, for instance, what we found when we visited that dam was that the contractor virtually came to excavate the sand and then turn around to use the excavated sand to do something like an embankment for the dam, which the people had been complaining that the dam was shallow and that the water, in fact, somebody volunteered to walk across the entire dam to show us that it was not deep, when we visited. So that is the situation with that particular dam. And so what they did in the dry season was to leave the water that was there for their animals to be drinking. They couldn't use it for gardening or farming, if you like. It is the same with the dam. That one is well constructed, but the size of it is so small that by January the water had run out.
Okay.
And they still had February, March, which are all dry season months that they could have been doing some farming with, but the water had run out. So the difference is in the construction. One thing I can say, Daniel, is that in Bongo district, there were 2 other dams that we visited when we were doing our reporting on 1V1D. And there was a dam at a community called Cabre. There was another one called Ayopia. The Ayopia Dam is actually the one that the president himself used as a sword cutting ceremony for 1V1D in 2018 when he launched that project. These dams are actually well constructed, except that they are also small. So if you compare them to the Dachio and Kajelo dams, those 2 dams in Bongo, in my opinion, based on what I saw when I visited, are better dams. But these 2 have not been listed in the tracker as completed dams. So
interesting. So you have actually found projects that are not been listed in the tracker. But just to be clear, because we had a bit of a challenge with the connection there, You observe that the size,
exactly what
the size of the dams, Albert, is what makes the difference, because you compared a couple of the dams you mentioned that were so small that the water ran out and there were still a number of dry season months to go. Albert.
Yes.
Right. Thank you very much, Albert. Sorry for joining us there. Apologies for the... Right. You wanted to add something, Albert?
Sorry, the network, the big challenging was that...
Right, it's becoming a bit difficult to hear Albert. We'll try and re-establish the connection when it's better during the show. Let's move on though. And Minister of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Akoto, says these dams are ongoing projects and will yield results with time.
The impact of the effort in agriculture is felt in the rural areas, because that's where the farms are. And they are the biggest beneficiaries. The government of the Akufo-Addo has been subsidizing seed and fertilizer to farmers to the tune of almost around $100 million US.
It's cut you short on that, because the former administration, they were giving it for free. You came in and you are selling it and subsidizing it. Yes. Which one would you go for, Doc?
What you are going
free or subsidy?
Well, what you are going for is what you are doing, obviously. And you can see that it's much more effective. It's not only saying that you are going to give 100 metric tons of fertilizer free of charge. We are doing multiples of that. In Ghana, fertilizer subsidy never exceeded 140,000 metric tons. The last 3 years, we've been doing upwards of 300,000 metric tons, reaching out to far more farmers than before. And of course, it's not only fertilizer. We are talking about improved seed. The strategy is to exchange the traditional seed of the farmer with improved seed, with high yielding seed. And that is working for the people of this country. And that's why in a COVID situation like this, in many countries, there's hunger, food prices are way above what they used to be. But in Ghana, you see that in the stocks of food, even now, as we speak, as we are about to harvest the first crop of the year, we still have a lot of stocks in the system, which tells you that the impact of planting for food and jobs has been excellent.
Before I let you go, Doc, let's look at the policy of one village, one dam. The essence was that this is going to help farmers in the northern region to undertake farming even within the dry season. How significant was this policy to the farmers in the northern region during the dry season? Did it actually work to plan?
Well, you know, a lot of these policies, you don't expect instant results, okay? So over the period, you know, in the savanna areas of the north, the rainfall is only 3-4 months in a year. So the rest of the year, 7-8 months, people are sitting down doing nothing. That's the essence of the irrigation. But the irrigation is very expensive and restricted. So building dams close to the farming areas so the farmers can have access to water in the dry season is equally important. Also to have water for their livestock and for their own use is very important. So we've gone ahead and started this program, which is an ongoing program. And that's one of the other reasons why this government should be voted back, to continue the good works. Because 4 years is not enough. I mean, for instance, I want to make Ghana self-sufficient in rice. There's no way you can do it in 4 years. I'm saying that in the next 2-3 years, Ghana will be self-sufficient. Rice production is increasing significantly. But these are biological phenomena. You don't expect that. It's not like a factory where your input and then your output is there. You have to build up over a period of time.
Now, there are various projects either completed or ongoing in the Sunyani municipality of the Bono region. JoyNews' visit to some selected areas in the Sunyani municipality confirmed some of the projects. At Abesim, over 30 market stores and stalls had been completed, though not in use. Correspondent Precious Temevo joins us for more on what he has been finding out in the area. Precious, so tell us what you saw in the market.
Yes, Daniel, at Abesim, as you rightly said, now these markets, over 30, with 30 stores. It has been ready for over a year now. It is not clear why the market is not being used, but I can put on record that that market has been completed and ready to be used. That is what is being shown on the screen at the moment. But if you move away from the market to the educational sector, for instance, if you go to Sunyani Senior High School, where the tracker, as given by the Vice President yesterday, if you go to Sunyani Municipality and then to SEC or Sunyani Senior High School, these projects, as stated in the tracker, could be found on the ground, those completed and those that are still ongoing. Now, for the classroom block, you have 12-unit classroom block, which is completed and it is fully in use. And also the girls' dormitory and then boys' dormitory, where each of them having about 8 cubic dormitories for the students, a total of almost 400 capacity for the dormitories is also ready and it is being used. Although when I visited, it was under lock and key because the first and second years are still in the house. So other projects that is ongoing is the toilet facilities, which is being put up by the assembly for the school, which is being used. Now, we spoke to the headmaster of the school, and he has been telling us how these projects has impacted the running of the school at Sunyani Senior High. Michael Insia Ejapo, we can take a listen to what he has been telling JoyNews.
Right, we will take a listen to that in a few minutes, Precious, but tell us, the Vice President's speech was aired on more than 70 different platforms across the country. Was it followed in Sunyani in the Bono region, and what was the response he got?
Yes, Daniel, it was well followed in the Bono region. In fact, and then the Ahafo region. Let me put that, as well as the Bono East region. What many people who have some of these projects close to them are able to say that, oh, okay, so this project is here or that project is there. But for those projects that are not around, they keep wondering if it is one of those promises or one of those pronouncements by politicians that they say, and you hardly see those projects around. So they are following and they are eager to indeed see all these projects that the Vice President talked about so that they can identify themselves with, and then so that when they move out of their various homes, they will be able to say that, okay, so this is the project that the Vice President talked about, and we can see it, we can feel it, and we are appreciating the impact that it is having in our daily life. So the people are indeed following it, and they are serious about what they are saying, and they really want to see everything themselves.
Precious, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon with those updates. Now, JoyNews checks in some schools in the Tichima North District of the Bono East region reveals some projects captured in the Vice President's lecture on projects undertaken by the current administration since 2017 are indeed existing. At the Tuabodom Senior High School, a girls' dormitory block initiated in the year 2018 has been completed and has been handed over to the school. Also, a fully furnished 6-unit classroom block has been completed and is currently in use by the school. Anas Sabit joins us with some more details. So, Anas, is education the key sector that the Bono East region benefited from, according to the Vice President, or there are some other sectors?
Thank you very much. And we've been trying to actually scan through to see whether actually some of those projects mentioned by the Vice President are actually visible on the grounds, and the region is quite a vast region. Today I started with the Tichima North District, and the focus today has been on education. So I have to visit some educational institutions to ascertain whether actually some of the structures being mentioned by the Vice President are actually on the grounds or not. So the first point I visited is Tuabodom Senior High School, where I have to go and then see. There were some 2 projects mentioned in the Vice President's lecture, and those were the girls' dormitory and then a 6-unit classroom block. And my checks in the school actually revealed that these projects are actually on the grounds, and they've been handed over to the school, and they are currently in use. Plus a borehole facility that was put up by this current administration that is in use at the Tuabodom Senior School. Then I moved to the Akoto Senior School from the Tuabodom projects that are ongoing and others that have been completed. Akoto had a girls' dormitory block that is currently in use, started also in the year 2018 and is currently in use. That, according to the headmaster, solved the accommodation challenges they were facing before. Also, they inherited, this administration inherited a 12-unit classroom block project that was started and was about 50% complete in 2017. As I speak to you now, that project has been completed. It has been handed over to the school, and we have students enjoying it now, using it for classroom purposes. Then a dining hall project, a big dining hall project, which was about 60% complete in 2017. That is also currently about 98% complete, according to the headmaster, and very soon it will be in use by the school. So these are some of the projects we have been able to monitor today. We'll continue the checks, hopefully, within the week, and then we'll update our viewers on the situation on the ground.
And thank you very much. We'll come back to you when there's more to report on now. Back here in Accra, one of the projects listed on the government delivery portal as ongoing is said to have been left without any progress in the last 2 years. This is a borehole located at Kanda in the Ayawaso East municipality. My colleague Manuel Kranting was there earlier and has come through with this report.
So I asked around and I've been directed to this spot. This is a borehole that was drilled by the Ministry of Special Initiatives in 2018. It's expected to have served the community of Kanda and its environs. I'm told by some of the residents that since 2018, when engineers came here to drill this borehole, they have not come back again. It's been 2 years now. It's been captured on the deliveries tracker website as an ongoing project. As to how long it's going to take, well, the residents say that they've been waiting anxiously. They speak to the assembly representatives who tell them that they are working on it.
Almost 2 years in here. But 2 years
It's been 2 years since they came to drill the borehole for the community. They left after drilling it and never came back. It's really disturbing because there's no water here.
Like 1 year.
We have no place to fetch water. There's a corner at the back where we harvest some water. Even there, you must have lived in a village to be comfortable fetching.
So,
but when you come here, it's a big place, almost like an estate, with big hotels and all. Well, a clear case of the haves and the have-not. Whilst in the flats, they are connected to the main Ghana Water Company Limited pipelines. Down here, the folks who live in makeshift structures have had to subject themselves to using this water, which I'm told is coming out from one of the spots which was tested for the mechanization of the borehole. So water that's erupting from beneath the ground overspills from this spiral-ridden pillar and moves through this canal into the gutter. And that has been the story for the past 2 years of this borehole right here.
Still live on the pulse. Now, away from that story, 5 West African countries are joining forces to prepare a unified response to floods and related disasters. Under the new response plan, Ghana's National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, and its counterparts in Ivory Coast, Nigeria, and Burkina Faso are teaming up with scientists and other experts to share weather and flood data in order to help minimize the impact of flooding. Nicholas Eko-Yamwa has more in the following report. Right to you.
West Africa's seasonal rains result in flooding, destroying property, crops, and even killing many. Whilst human activity has been blamed in many instances, the United Nations also attributes a big part of the problem to climate change, increasing urbanization, and population growth, which it says will further exacerbate the impact of floods in the future.
All about gathering enough data to prepare a decision support system to help stakeholders properly manage flood disasters when they do occur. So the intention is to be able to help our disaster management organizations like NADMO and then other organizations that collect flood-related data to be able to prepare in advance. So we should be able to predict floods before they do occur. So if you have sufficient data to be able to develop such a model, you are in a better shape to be able to advise stakeholders like government to put structures in place to contain floods when they do occur.
Scores of people died and many others were displaced 5 years ago when floods and fire swept through the Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra and caused irreparable damage to several property and businesses. Such disasters, though of varied proportions, have become permanent in some West African states, prompting a coordinated effort to address the problem. Meteorological and disaster management experts from the 5 countries have been meeting in Ghana to try and find a solution to the perennial flooding affecting them.
It's about gutters and everything. You see, you have to know the quantum of water that you are expecting so that you can make decisions on how wide your gutters are supposed to be, how you plan your cities, how you plan your settlements. So all these are going to play into such decision-making processes.
The 5 countries intend to set the new plan rolling from next year, subject to the successful coalition of data.
Still up in the pulse with me, Daniel Daze. Still up ahead, Foreign Affairs Minister Shirley Ayokoboche insists government will continue enforcing laws governing retail business in Ghana, despite agitations by Nigerian traders especially. We hear from the minister, who has begun engagements with her Nigerian counterpart on the matter. Thanks for staying with us. This is The Pulse. My name is Daniel Daze. Well, in good times and bad times, I'll be on your side forevermore. And that's what friends are for. This is a great quote by the musician Dionne Warwick in one of her popular heartwarming songs that has sought to tell the story of great friends who are never separated, no matter what challenges they may encounter. Well, Ghana and its friend, Nigeria, are at the crossroads because of a disagreement over retail business. Nigeria is currently threatening to reciprocate, or if you like, retaliate, when it comes to shutdown of shops belonging to its citizens in Ghana. That notwithstanding, Ghana is going ahead with the closures. We have a breakdown of what is leading to all this confusion. First, though, a report from Tiptoe Lane at Kwame Nkrumah Circle, where more shops are due to be shut.
I think every shop in Circle has to be closed down. But the other Ghana shop that is operating now, and the Ghana intelligence, no. So this is the document. This is the document that proves that Ghanaian. This is a name and everything. So why is it that they want to lock it up?
Yeah, so this is the second part of the exercise. It was started on 13th of August, about a week ago. Well, the Ministry of Trade and Industry is clamping down on all foreign-owned shops which really do not have documentation to do retail business. Well, a number of shops have been closed already, with some of them protesting and, arguing that the shops are duly registered.
This shop is never a Nigerian shop. I paid it, and even I've not finished paying the money.
You have documents to prove?
This is the shop rent. This is the shop rent. This is my business certificate. I have my business certificate, my enterprise. You see, this is the shop. This man is the witness. He's here. He's the one who witnessed. When I was renting the shop, I rented the shop The Nigerian people, some of them give me goods. I buy some of the goods with my own money.
To Nigerian shop. So this is against the law. And Nigerian shops na here too. And so over has some to Ghana ni shop mo. Debi.
So more
say document
shop. Wow. If they said they are closing all the shops for investigation, why is it that the other shops are open?
We've been told that some of the people who occupy the shops actually allegedly connive and collude with some other people who are suspected to be foreigners, and then just front for them to be operating in the shadows.
We're a foreigner, Nigerian, and again, and near front to a man.
This one is for a Nigerian, and he's just taking Ghanaians to front for him.
Our fact, Ghana need not never see any back on this side, back on this side. There
is one here, one there, and another one in the corner. They must lock up the shop. The foreigners have connived with the Ghanaians to operate illegally here.
Now, across the border in Nigeria, the traders have also taken the matter to the federal government, demanding a solution. But it is the response from Ghana, which is this afternoon ruffling feathers even more. Foreign Affairs Minister Lartebiokorshie says government will continue to enforce laws governing Ghana's retail business in spite of the agitations by Nigerian traders operating illegally in that space.
In the diplomatic circles, I believe these things happen, where you have countries having issues with each other. But it's the ability to deal with the issues that matter. And in this case, dialogue. We have to dialogue our way out of it. But you see, we are members of the West African bloc, which is ECOWAS. So we have, on both sides, we have signed onto protocols of free movement of goods, of people, of services. At the same time also, we have our national local laws. So you need to sort of have a balance, which is what Nigeria did not too long ago. And if you recall, Nigeria closed their borders. But for COVID-19, I don't know what the situation would be even now, whether it will still be closed. But they had to close their borders because they felt that there were a few things they had to correct. And chief amongst them, the things that they felt they had to correct, they said they had security issues with ammunition being smuggled into their country, with rice being smuggled into their country. So they closed the border in spite of the free movement that we had all signed on to. In our case, as we speak, we have the local laws which we all have to adhere to, all traders, whether you're Ghanaian, Nigerian, Chinese, whoever. In the first place, our local laws do not allow retail trade of foreigners to be engaged in retail trade. And if they are to be allowed, there's a threshold that they have to fulfill in terms of investment. Unfortunately, when we try to apply the laws, then people are, or these traders are crying foul that they are being victimized. That is not the case. We have our laws, just as they also have their laws. And have taken policy decisions that they must protect local industry, which is what they did to protect the local rice industry. So in many cases, we need to have a good balance between the local laws as well as the protocols that we sign onto. At some point, we would have to harmonize the local laws with the protocol. But for now, our local laws are enforced, just like their local laws and policies are enforced, and they are enforcing them by closing the border, which meant that many of our trucks, over 200, were stuck behind on the Benin side. We couldn't cross over into Nigeria. People lost, exporters into Nigeria lost a lot of investment. So these things happen. happen, and we shouldn't cry foul as if we are being victimized, because that's not what we did when they closed the border. We tried to...
Have you been in talk with the Foreign Affairs Minister of Nigeria?
I'm in touch with him all the time. I'm in touch with him all the time. Yes, I am. And I think we should dialogue our way through this and find common ground. The traders have to respect the laws and provide the necessary documents that are required of them for them to be able to do their practice of trade peacefully.
Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Enyama, expressed his worry about the turn of events.
Our own president also met with Mr. President, the president of Ghana, and this matter was now resolved as we understood. But obviously, it has reared its head again, and it seems not to have been resolved. Now, to answer your specific question about the Ghana Code that talks about the retail sector being reserved exclusively for Ghanaians, is that it is in conflict with the ECOWAS protocol provisions, as you yourself mentioned. So this is something that we are going to want looked into at this non-respect of the ECOWAS protocol. You know, what is the point of having an economic community if at the end of the day each country will just make laws and regulations that are in contradiction of that. So I think that is an issue that has to be addressed.
Now, joining us for more on this is Comrade Evaristus Wonko. He is Secretary General, Nigeria Union of Traders Associations. We'll have a number of other guests in that conversation. Mr. Wonko, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on the Pulse.
Thank you so very much.
So you've heard our Foreign Affairs Minister. She says that the law will be enforced, but she's dialoguing with her counterparts, Mr. Enyama. What's your take on that?
Well, it's all boiled down to what the dialogue will bring about. Because the same, if I recollect, the same Foreign Minister, Abesim, when he was in Nigeria last time, he told our Foreign Minister that this law, the GIPC law that they are trying to enforce, is not going to affect the West African, the ECOWAS citizens. It's on record. She made that statement before the international press. And so, just like you had our Foreign Minister say, that GIPC law is just because every country try to protect one or two things. But you see, the major conflict in this particular issue is that Ghana is a beneficiary of the same law they are trying to go against here. Ghana nationals are all over West Africa doing retail business, all over West Africa, all over Nigeria. And we see them everywhere. Now, if you now come here and say, and we know Nigeria, we have the same law, NIPC, something similar to Ghana, but we don't apply it against ECOWAS citizens. It is the implementation of that GIPC that is the problem. If there is a middle of the road law, I think there should have been a middle of the road so that the passport you are using, the one I'm using, if you go at the back, it is ECOWAS passport. So, like the minister asked, what is the reason of being what is the benefit of being a community citizen why you cannot do your normal business?
But there are no exemptions in the GIPC law. In Ghana, when we have laws and there are exemptions, those exemptions are clear.
That is exactly what
in the GIPC law, it's not stated.
That is the conflict I'm talking about. I think I made it clear. I said there is no middle of the road. So there's no exemption for the ECOWAS. That is why we are crying foul. That's why we are appealing to the authority to give human face to that law so that you can allow, so that what you are enjoying in other place, you will allow other people to also enjoy here. That's exactly what we are.
I had the communications director for the Ministry of Trade and Industry just a couple of days sitting in the chair you're sitting in now, saying that they expect the law to be, it was actually yesterday, they expect the law to be applied in every country in ECOWAS, whether or not it affects Ghanaian citizens. And so the point that there may be Ghanaians engaging in retail elsewhere does not apply here.
To you, that statement, is it reasonable for a politician to make such a statement here, knowing fully well that your citizens are there? So you want them to be pushed back so that, what plan has he to give those people employment? You see, sometimes politicians, they make dangerous statements, but we, the common citizens, we don't even think about that. You don't think about the danger of this kind of statement. You say, oh, Nigeria can enforce their laws. So when they begin to enforce, this one will affect me here. It will affect an innocent Ghanaian who doesn't know anything. And we, personally, this is what we have been saying, that it should not be allowed to continue. That, oh, you sack Nigerians and then they bring your own people. And let me tell you one thing. You see, when you look at the way they are enforcing this law, the Chinese are they Ghanaians. They are in the same market. Is it a Chinese sitting inside the shop with two Ghanaians selling for him or her? And they will pass there. They will not even ask him, ask the person the paper. That's an interesting allegation, because we did have, if I may, we did have officials tell us that they have also evicted Chinese, Lebanese, other nationalities. It's not just Nigerians. My brother, you see, when last year they closed Opera, and we appealed, and our government intervened, and even that closure wasn't even government, it was Gov't. Where you see, Ghana is a very democratic country, and rule of law rules here. And you allow citizens, another private person, to lock another person's shop, not the government. What is being done is government institution. That's why you see the way we cannot say we can't close. But this one, somebody will wake up in the middle of the night and come and lock your shop. And when tomorrow you see that illegal key and you want to talk, then police will come and cite them. Well, that was condemned. I remember speaking to so many government officials. Even the president condemned it, but the key was still there. And that is the contradiction. You cannot condemn a criminal and tell him to take his loot and go. Oh, what you are doing is bad, but take the money. Are you saying that no dialogue took place after that? No steps were taken to address the situation? There is a way. Illegality is illegality. If the president of the land sees an illegality, he will give order for that shop to be immediately opened. Even if he want to use, he can use state institution, you understand, to lock it the following day, so that it will look like, you see, you are emboldening impunity, which will later come back to haunt the same. Today it is Nigeria. Tomorrow, if some people get up and begin to go against the government and begin to do certain things, that's emboldening impunity. So if you read the history of Boko Haram in Nigeria, it started by government treating some group of people with kid gloves. And when it doesn't favor them, they will go against government. So that happened in October 2019. Currently, the Ministry of Trade and Industry is leading a task force with security officials, closing the shops which, according to them, are not following the GIPC law. What is your organization doing? Well, what we are doing is that, we can't fight the government. We've continued to appeal to government. We've appealed to them. We've shown some our concerns, and then we appeal to our government. Today, you see, I'm black. Today, we close all our shops in the whole of Greater Accra, and we went to a Nigerian High Commissioner to register our displeasure and ask our government to help us. Because my brother, if you look at the time, we are in extraordinary time. This time is not a good time. If you close somebody's shop in this COVID, he can't even escape back to Nigeria because the national borders are closed. And he can't feed. Assuming you have a child who has an underlying sickness. You see, the WHO are telling us about underlying sicknesses. Somebody who is diabetic, somebody who is, you need drug every day to maintain yourself. And then the children have to eat. And you close the person's shop. Just tell me, what would the person do? He can't even, if he have 300 Ghana cedis for him to travel back to Nigeria, he can't travel back to his family, at least to take care of himself and his children. Now, the person, you have sentenced him to starvation. Just, I mean, there is no other word I can use. I've tried to get the appropriate word to use. That is the only thing that comes to my head.
There are provisions in the law which allow for foreigners to operate in the retail space if they are doing large-scale business of a certain threshold.
Good.
Has NUTA, as an organization, considered coming together and building the capital to operate in those levels of business?
Yes, you see, what we are, you know, the nature of business in West Africa. Ghana is not, it is not different from Nigeria. The only thing that is different that when we gather together here, sometimes you may not even differentiate who is a Ghanaian and Nigeria. You see, these are small people who are coming from a different background, and they meet themselves in Accra here. And they will now have this problem. Maybe in this crisis, we begin to think about how can we, if the effort to make the ECOWAS protocol work, and if it fails, it is a failure for us common people, because we will not be happy that ECOWAS is ECOWAS of billionaires and not ECOWAS of ordinary people. You understand me? Because when we are talking of, you must bring $1 million. For goodness sake. If an African man says this, I get goosebumps on me. Because $1 million.
You can't collectively raise $1 million as an organization.
That's what I'm saying, that these are people who came just from...
But you've been brought together by circumstances.
Now, in future, maybe if dialogue fails and you decide that you must continue to be here, then those who may decide to do that. There are some who it may interest you to know there are some people who has even GIPC that their shop was sandpaper and place you are not qualified at Abasokai. Nigerians, they registered with GIPC, but they say they will not be there. But a Chinese is there at Abasokai. You know, and at opera you see Chinese operating. Some people at that opera, I know about two people who have GIPC.
Right.
And their shop was locked.
Have you contacted your home government in Nigeria?
Yes, I told you that I'm just coming from Nigerian High Commission today.
What was the response the Nigerian High Commissioner gave you?
Of course, they are assuring us that they are going to intervene. They have been doing a lot according to them. They are in dialogue. You saw the Foreign Minister of Ghana saying that she's in touch with Nigerian counterpart. I'm sure they are talking. I'm sure our letter to His Excellency President Buhari has reached the seat of government in Nigeria, and I'm sure that the two presidents can come together and do something for the sake of, you know, today is Nigeria. You see, I must continue to preach this gospel, that we must look at ECOWAS of 10, 20, 50 years to come.
Right.
We must look at ECOWAS where you look at Nigeria potentials, and you see that maybe in 50 years, this is a China in waiting. And Ghana should naturally be the right-hand man to enjoy whatever that is happening in Nigeria.
Right.
It shouldn't be that time we say, oh, you are Ghanaian, your law said we should bring $1 million in 2020. So go and bring $3 million.
Right.
Because the size of economy continue to expand.
So these engagements that you've had with your ambassador, has he given you any timelines?
Yes, no time lag for now, but I think I'm aware that something is being done. Something is being done. I'm aware that even some diplomatic actions are taken on as I'm talking to you right now, and when that happens, we'll see the next step. Or if it fails, I think, like what we said today, it's not more that we stay in Ghana. What we've been telling Ghana is, it cannot, like what we have been accusing and say that with this $1 million, you are saying that you don't want us here. And of course, it is left for them to say, okay, what we are implementing is our law. Then we can go.
But that has been said already.
Of course. Don't you believe that 1969 Alien Compliance Act was a law? Was it not a law? It was a law. And Ghana must go in 1982-83. Was it not a law? Was those laws good? Was those laws not?
But they were enforced.
Those laws were callous. They were enforced, but they were callous.
They were enforced fully. Even though you may not agree with them today.
I'm telling you, those two laws were enforced fully. But I am telling you, as an African, I'm disappointed in those two laws. How can you sack Nigerians here and Ghanaian? I was a student activist then. I haven't been to Ghana before, but we were against, who were those who were demonstrating then? I don't know how old you are. That we were against sacking Ghanaians.
So the key point is that you've engaged your government, you've engaged ours, and you're looking to get a response from them. Let me finally ask, what are the options available for you? What will you do as a businessman?
Yes, exactly. The option available to me is what I've just said. I will weigh the option of getting $1 million, which I've never seen before. If I can't get $1 million, then the next option will be to leave Ghana with my story.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Everest.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So live on the pulse here on the JoyNews channel. A dozen squatters in Lartebiokorshie Town Council line here in Accra have been displaced following a fire outbreak in the area at 1 a.m. today. Witnesses and victims say they were left stranded as the community does not have reliable water supply to combat the situation. They described the outbreak as an explosive one that caused them sleep all night long. My colleague Fiese Nanaya Safo was in the community and tells us more in the following report.
It's the fourth recorded fire outbreak in less than a week since the Electoral Commission building in Sapiman, Kiosk Estate in Shiashi, and the Takoradi market stores got caught up in flames. Residents here tell me that the fires began at 1 a.m. The extent of damage is still being assessed by NADMO. In the meanwhile, right here at the area that has been cordoned off, this is one of such containers. Through it, lots of property have been lost. Already, even before assessment is made fully, you can tell that thousands or hundreds of Ghana cedis have been lost since we determined at least one oven actively in the area. Also zooming in onto that part, you can see 2 cylinders, factors which could have played a crucial role when ignited by the flames as at 1 a.m. when we are told the fires first began. But perhaps the most expensive damage that have been done in these fires is what I'm told is a 3-week vehicle. As you can see, it's been burnt to a pulp, and with the interior there is almost nothing to be salvaged, from the dashboard to the seats to everything. We are going to speak with the taxi driver, the owner of this newly bought vehicle, and in fact assess how he's feeling, how are things going. You can see as he stands there, it's quite a shock on his figure.
That is I'm the rightful owner of this vehicle.
Okay, and you are?
I'm Belly Richmond, come here.
Tell us about the fires here and how all this happened.
Around maybe getting to 1 a.m. yesterday dawn, I was in my room and one of my friends, this one, the one here, came calling me, running to my door and telling me that I should bring this thing. The car has catched fire, so I should bring out, if I have a spare key, I should bring it out so that we can move the car here. At the time we got here, the fire has already catched up with the car, and it was exploding. We don't know what was exploding. Not when there was.
By explosion, what exactly do you mean by explosion?
I think in the fire we were hearing some some fire, nonsense. So it was exploding. I don't know. The fire was exploding. That's what I can say. So I don't know what was exploding at that very time.
So for those of us who were not here at the time, show us, as at 1 a.m., you can see as at now there are lots of people gathered here in the neighborhood. How was the scene at 1 a.m.? What was going on?
At 1 a.m. it was very serious than this. It was very serious. There were only a few people here. When the fire was, it cannot make you even come too nearer to the fire. The fire was too huge.
So what are you doing? You are having buckets in hand trying to douse the fire?
We tried our best to off it, but our best couldn't reach anywhere. So we tried calling. Since that time, we were calling the fire service to come to our aid. By the time they got here, they also tried to do what they can do. And this is what we got as a result of that fire. This taxi has not even worked for 1 month. It just it just started working only 3 weeks ago. I would say this is the 3rd week that this stack is working, and I'm even short of words.
Do you have a family that's depending on you?
I watch over a huge family. I would say that I'll be the breadwinner of my family, but this is what have happened to me, and I don't know what to do even. I have sisters, I have children like 2. I have brothers. My father is no more, and I have mother and cousins too. They are all depending on me. Yeah.
So now, since this unfortunate incident, what's your fallback plan? Do you have any insurance, anything you're looking up to?
I did insurance with the enterprise insurance. It was a premium insurance. But as at now, I don't know where to start it from and where to end it. Because I'm frustrated now. I'm really, really frustrated. I don't know where to start it from and where to end it. Because this car have not even worked for even 3 weeks. This is the 3rd week.
Was it procured with your own money?
I took a loan to buy the car.
You took a loan?
Yeah, that's the problem. Because I was saving with a bank, and I have some amount there. I went to them and told them what I wanted to do, and they also said that it was a good idea, and they helped me out with the loan. So I was about to start paying from a month when the start working.
How much money did you take?
Oh, it's almost 30,000.
30,000 cedis?
Yeah, it's almost 30,000.
And when are you supposed to pay?
They gave me almost 6 months to pay. Because according to they gave me 6 months, or getting roughly 8 months. I have to be done with the payment.
We now move to the owner of the kiosk facility here, the enterprise that's been burnt down, as you can see in our shot here. We'll be speaking to her. As you can see, that's the oven that we were talking about earlier. You can also see 2 gas cylinders of what used to be a store here. The owner is right here with me, and she would speak with me further on the matter. As you can see.
Bibi bo container na ase tuo no anu
but odemu ana
nti ade na anu odimpa na misi
na odem
na mi dem nti mi sorry tina as misi ade kura de ambroba for by area na omutu etu edi bo container na mi ka o mitrimo se mi nko na mi dem nti mi fa mi phone na mi si mi frɛ mi landlady na ma bi se ne se da asem na ekoso ana ansa na nti na ma tina se because ade ne se na ade ne jisu eye de bang se tuo no wonte mi nda nti ma tina se keke ana mi fa phone keke na mi fa na mi so mi frɛ na bi se nti enu ana onu adwan ba regional ana mi ngasa mi bie container no fast mi pie na mi se eja no kura adu we ni wie kura nti mi pie na ana eja no ra container no
so she narrates quite a dramatic set of events. Apparently, while the fires were raging, she sleeps inside this very kiosk. She was sleeping there while it was all happening, and she says when she woke up by the sound, that sounded like gunshots due to the lots of things that were exploding. Supposedly she heard such sounds, and she thought to herself that why are armed robbers attacking us at this time of the day? It was rather fires that were going on. So it took some of the neighbors coming to tell her that your kiosk and your facility where you're sleeping is on fire before she was able to come out. And in that instant, she saw the kiosk cave in. That means she missed the fire outbreaks by a second. And if not for the intervention of neighbors and others, she may have been a living casualty of the situation right here. But it was mine. 2 p.m. I didn't see it.
Me p.m. na me who say Johnny deli flu na by inside no. Nti ensa na me fa shi. Me bibia no ma wo bibia shi. Me bibia shi wo me where I want me hu na no pe when I me die. E no pe na wo me hu. Nti me no ma nyina shi. If you say me pin up in a January, and Miadomaka, Miangasa Crampo, Mishi, can, but in Yamiadum, and I meet me peer, because now Miangasa me person me peer that dance, and me landlady no frame me up at once, Nana, me peer. It also now that way, it make as you say, I'm penny and pana near my go, the other Danny Bibia. Bibia, my sister, me Bibia, Bibia, weapon are coming. But yeah, not any honor, any other room. I mean, say, yeah, so a bit much you muka into him sent at the end and Tadio. Sikana Sikabot nebes and any woman. Sikani the Susuni Nash, never she cramaje, Sikana woman meet kind. But I bedrew Sika and Pempe 1,000 Ghana cedis. There be 100,000. And it's best, I 3 minutes. And I think so. You say now we feed the tofu or the two fishes near the Nani, Tadian to money, Brenda, no man, no dosu. Meet me, Bobosu, no man, no dosu. And to me and Faba, Crampo. Be a castle quack of far, obey she or home. Intini, and to me and Fabi, way more way. In Pabuano Crampo, Bina mammy in Pabua. Bina mammy, where crown will be near the mammy. Weapon and me die. Mijina mi she pioto. Nika weapon and me she. Asa mi bibia mi no ma mi wa ye kasa oba no ma nyinyi na ashi. Ina ashi. Nse o da he. Na mi da inside no. Se see am your landlady no ni ho. So she's a 37-year-old woman, and all she's saying is basically translated thus, that all she had in the world, her clothes, her oven, her everything that she had, her books, her money, that is not, she says it's about 300 cedis worth of money, her life savings, everything was stored in this 4-square facility or for this 4-square kiosk here, and now it's all been burnt down to ashes. All she has in the world, she tells me as of now, is her clothes that she has here and the shoes that she showed to us, which have even been borrowed. She says she has a husband who is not in town as at the moment, and she's now trying to reach family members. It took the tenant of the building's close to give her a place to sleep last night. She's really in a desperate situation right now. Because we say me won't be danty. See, I'm mini capre, mini bibia. Mi koji loan susuna mi di jumani na ya condemn. Mijina bi loan na che. Nche biae. Nche. Ba ku pe na mijina ni na ye we si. Sika be sa he na ye je. Be se 30 million. Na ye we. Bibia e condemn. Jimini capre. Sika bia ashikura na machichiro roba muna. Mi apronu ne da honi sus bibia shi enoma oba wo nyina rice cooker ne Brenda ni no ma bibia antadie be shi bibia shi ni bibia wo. All she's asking for now is help. She says even with the kiosk, she took a loan of about 3,000 Ghana cedis. She never worked with it to even counting profits or anything. She has nothing left in the world, and she's not discriminating. Any form of help, in whichever form it comes, she'll be very grateful to accept.
Now, away from that story, the minority in Parliament is calling on the West Africa Examinations Council, WAEC, to act swiftly in cancelling leaked West African Senior School Certificate Examination WASSCE papers. It follows complaints about the consistent leakage of the papers since the exam started. Already, some stakeholders in education are calling for a bipartisan investigation into recent leakage of some subjects. Member of Parliament for Akachi North constituency, who doubles as ranking member on Parliament Select Committee on Education, Peter Nochukotwe, joins me on the phone for a discussion on this. Mr. Nochukotwe, your statement says that on Friday, the 7th of August, the integrated science paper scheduled for Monday, 10th of August, was leaked and circulated widely on social media. Complaints came up, and on the evening of Sunday, 16th August, core mathematics was also seen circulating on social media. My question is, this will not be the first time that we've seen leaks of this magnitude. WASSCE has demonstrated in the past that they are able to identify where some of these wrongs were occurred and correct itself. Why do the papers need to be cancelled?
Thank you very much, Daniel, and good evening. Yeah, that is the question that beats the imagination of everybody. Because every year, when the Education Committee meets WASSCE at their annual budget session, they always give us assurance that the leakage will not occur in that particular year. But before you realize, we have the leakage coming on board again. And this year's leakage has been of a different magnitude, where you see the papers or questions all over the social media. And in the next day, those are the questions that the students will have to answer. And it is boring. It is worrisome. So we are calling on WASSCE to do the right thing. If they know they cannot assure us of the security and the integrity of the examination questions, then they should be able to tell us so that the government can decide on what to do. But if we are witnessing the leakages at this magnitude, it's going to affect the integrity of WASSCE itself. And my worry is that why is it that they are not coming out to tell us anything? See, they should be sweet enough to tell us, okay, this is the situation. We have self-responsibility. We cancel the paper. So the paper will not be taken on that day. We will set a new set of questions. Then Ghanaians will know that, yes, they are up to the task. So our appeal is that this thing has leaked. It's not every candidate who had the opportunity. So some have got advantage over the others. So to be fair to all students, cancel that paper and reset the examination. Okay. That is our call. Yeah.
Mr. Akoto, please hold on for me. Africa Education Watch's Executive Director, Kofi Asare, has joined us via Zoom. Mr. Asare, you've just heard the Minority of Parliament is calling for a cancellation of the leaked papers. Do you agree with that position?
We agree that the integrity of the examination process has been compromised hugely. Not because of the leakage of the papers per se, because that is virtually an annual ritual. But most importantly, because for the first time in our history, the contact details, including telephone numbers and email addresses, schools, subject areas of examiners, people who will be marking the papers, have been made public and is circulating on social media. It is a cardinal principle in assessment that the assessment agency, that is WASSCE, has a non-disclosure responsibility in respect of the identity of the examiner. And so for you to breach that duty and circulate their contact details, then it raises highly fundamental integrity issues.
Very quickly on that, Mr. Asare, contact details of some persons may have been leaked, but how do we know that these are the people who will be marking your scripts? There are hundreds of thousands of candidates across the country, literally. If these persons will come in contact with some of the scripts, how do you target the ones that you're going to induce?
For the contact of WASSCE examiners to be released in a manner that is tabulated town by town, you will see Cape Coast, you will see Soakope, you will see Akimoda, tabulated in that manner, okay? It means that those who have access to that document will definitely have access to how the original distribution is done. Virtually what is done is that they will move this region to this region and this to this. And so you can easily trace and know where or who is likely to work on your paper. It's very simple. The most confidential information is what is out. Okay. And so getting to know where they will move this region's papers to is simple, because if a person can manage and enter the system and get this data, that is less, that's not security data. But the security data for which there's a non-disclosure responsibility on is what has even leaked, and WASSCE has confirmed that it is a genuine document.
All the same, just so I understand your issue well, I'll come back to that, but on what the minority said, should the papers be cancelled, Mr. Asare?
We've called for an investigation by the Parliamentary Select Committee into whatever is happening, in the sense that WASSCE can no more investigate themselves. They cannot keep remaining being the judge in their own courts. It is when the Select Committee on Education has undertaken the investigation that will be able to ascertain the enormity, of the breaches, and also the dynamics of the situation within the value chain. It is not just WASSCE, but the other actors in the upper value chain. So without that independent report, it is difficult for us to call for an immediate cancellation. But what we are calling for is that urgent investigation. And most importantly, WASSCE will have to change those examiners. Their identities have been published. Right. And so their independence or objectivity can't be compromised. And so they have to replace them. If they don't replace them, then there will be a basis not to have the exam papers marked by these same examiners.
Well, the body that you're asking to investigate that is represented on the show. Let me go to Mr. Nochu-Kotwe. So Africa Education Watch is asking you to investigate this as a committee of parliament. Is that something you make a commitment to?
We received the petition. I got a copy yesterday, and the committee just returned from its work in Ada to look at a number of bills. So before the end of the week, I think the leadership of the committee will meet and see what we can do about their request. Because it is very important that we work hand in hand to make sure that we have a credible institutions to run our examinations, so that these type of leakages will cease to occur in our educational system.
Mr. Asare suggests, Mr. Nochu-Kotwe, that that step should come before the consideration of cancelling the papers. Would you agree with that sentiment?
Well, as a minority, we have made our point clear. So this one is for the committee to look at.
Okay.
So whichever comes first, I think we'll all look at it in any direction that it comes.
Finally, about the identities of the examiners that has been leaked according to Africa Education Watch. Has this come to your attention, and what's your take on that?
Well, it will be part of the investigative process, so that as we do the investigation, we'll see how those names also came out and what damage it has done to them personally or to the exam council. So we'll look at those things as we do the investigation.
Would you agree that that compromises the examination process, not just in the writing and the marking?
It's a serious compromise, yes, which is not the best. So it is not the best. We'll see how we can correct those things and then prevent them from occurring again.
Now, finally from you, Mr. Kotwe, in your engagement with your colleagues on the other side, in the majority, is this sentiment of WASSCE paper cancellation reflected? Is it a bipartisan position? And this resolve to investigate, do you think it's bipartisan, or your colleagues hold a different view?
Friends on the other side, the majority will also agree to this mass leakage of questions in the system. I don't think they will agree. Yeah, so we have gone further to say this should be the cancellation to take place. But I cannot talk for them if they also agree that the papers should be cancelled.
Thank you very much, Peter Nochu-Kotwe. Finally, from you, Kofi Asare of Africa Education Watch, you just got a direct response on your petition that is going to be looked into by the Committee of Parliament. Are you satisfied?
Well, we are satisfied that the issue of whether or not there was a leakage is not an issue anymore. We are satisfied that WASSCE themselves yesterday admitted that they've been having issues with leakages in the strong room. And they also admitted that the Excel spreadsheet doing rounds is actually their document. And so they are investigating how it leaked. And so once we've established that the two allegations are true, then it makes it a bit easier for whichever inquisitorial or investigative body to narrow down on finding out how it occurred, the various facilitators within the value chain, and then what institutional reforms, as we've recommended. We've recommended that there has to be an independent regulator for assessment bodies in Ghana, similar to what you have in the UK, what we call OFQAL, Office of Qualification and Assessment. Right. Without a regulator, WASSCE will be a judge, and then there will also be a referee. They will be the judge in their own court. And so it's important for us to look at the institutional reform aspect. That is what will prevent this from happening next year. But if we focus on the scenarios and the scandals, we will definitely have it next year. But if we focus on institutional reform in the assessment system in Ghana, we are likely to have a situation where WASSCE will now come under some regulation and will have sanctions for allowing certain security breaches to occur. And so they might be much more meticulous in their approach in the approach towards administrative examinations than the current laxic one, which is partly a result of their monopoly.
The argument then, Mr. Sari, would be that WASSCE was brought in as a West African body to regulate schools, to ensure that there's fairness in administering this exam. Now, WASSCE as a body itself has been compromised. So what stops another office from being compromised if it's also created?
Well, the issue, of course, WASSCE as a body in 5 African countries, true. But it is also true that throughout the period, the decades of our engagement of this WASSCE framework, other countries have liberalized their system. In Nigeria, WASSCE is not the only assessor there. Other countries have liberalized the system so that we have other assessors participating within the public space so that it dilutes their monopoly. The law, the WASSCE law, doesn't, at 719 or so, it doesn't say that WASSCE should enjoy a monopoly. There's nothing like that. And so we think that even though we've been with WASSCE for a long time, it's been a long time come for WASSCE to appreciate the fact that we've moved to a different era of technology where little security breaches would escalate into massive, leakage of examination papers. And so that transformation from WASSCE from the 20th century to 21st century has not been smooth. And so they need to put their hands together. By putting their hands together, we cannot put our integrity on the line because a certificate that our children and our students get from schools when they write the examination, for us is very, very important. And so we care about who assesses our children, and for that matter, WASSCE need to not only reform, but we need to regulate them to comply with the standard that we think as a state we deserve to have in our certification assessment process.
Kofi, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon on The Pulse. Now, you heard him refer there to an admission made by WASSCE. That is in a statement that was released very shortly. As you can see, there is captioned the 19th of April. So this actually was released a few minutes ago. Circulation of examiners list on social media and alleged leakage of examination papers. The attention of West Africa Examination Council has been called to the very unfortunate circulation of a yet-to-be-finalized version of an examiners list for the WASSCE 2020 on social media. The council has initiated investigations into this disturbing development and reported the matter to the Cybercrime Department of the Ghana Police Service. The council wishes to assure its stakeholders and members of the public that its marking process, which has been tested over the years, ensures fairness. This process involves exclusion of school names on script envelopes, swapping of scripts across regions, vetting of scripts marked by assistant examiners by team leaders, vetting of team leaders' scripts by chief examiners, cross-checking of all marked scripts, script checking process, supervision of above-mentioned process by venue coordinators and subject officers. Now, while apologizing unreservedly to all examiners whose contact details were inadvertently circulated in the public domain, the council wishes to reiterate its commitment to safeguarding the integrity and credibility of its examination and certificates, respectively. The council wishes to use this opportunity to state that its monitoring of the ongoing WASSCE has indicated as follows. 1. The activities of rogue websites are in full force with several fake versions of questions being circulated on social media. Also, fake versions of Integrated Science 2 and 1, Social Studies 2 and 1, Chemistry 3, Practical Alternative A, and Economics 2 and 1 papers were shared on social media platforms. Also, Snapshots of the Mathematics Core 2 paper were posted on social media platforms after the release of the paper from WASSCE strong rooms. Investigations into these issues are ongoing. Meanwhile, the Council will continue to roll out various measures to deal with these illegal activities in order to ensure fairness to all candidates and maintain the integrity of the exam. So this was released today on the 19th of August, just a few minutes ago, I understand. Now, the people of Inshaiso in the Asante Akim North District are heaving a sigh of relief as MTN Ghana Foundation prepares to change their plight with the handing over of a 6-unit classroom block and teachers' bungalow on Thursday. The project follows a JoyNews Agenda report which highlighted the poor and life-threatening conditions in one of the public schools in the town. My colleague Ohiming Teria, whose report caught the attention of MTN Ghana Foundation, has more.
Structures in the Inshaiso DA Basic School became a death trap. Cracked walls, loose door frames, fallen ceiling and classrooms filled with foul-smelling animal droppings were the lot of students. Despite the danger posed by the dilapidated school structures, education authorities were reluctant to close it down. Children from Inshaiso until now were compelled to trek 32 kilometers to and from the nearest town, Ananikrum, to attend JHS. Some of the girls were sexually assaulted by nomadic herdsmen en route to school.
Let's begin with JoyNews Agenda this week, and we are focusing on dilapidated school structure across the country. Now, basic schools in the Asante Akim North District of the Ashanti region conduct classes in dilapidated and life-threatening structures.
Following a JoyNews Agenda report highlighting the plight of the students, MTN Ghana Foundation intervened.
We have very good news for the people of Inshaiso near Agogo. MTN Ghana, having heard the news about the deplorable state in which the basic school is, the board has given approval for us to invest into a 6-classroom block.
Soon after the announcement, contractors, Wilfram Enterprise, moved to site and work began in earnest.
Component comprises 6-classroom block, staff common room. We have library attached to it. We have headmaster's room, and then teacher's bungalow, and we have classroom chairs. We've done everything. We've done the painting, so now it's ready for commissioning.
Thanks to MTN Ghana Foundation, teachers and students of Inshaiso DA Basic School can now boast of a new full-cycle basic education infrastructure. Francis Otibuatin is the chief executive for Asante Akim North.
I always give credit to my brother Ohiming Teria for such a very huge project. The first time I saw the report on TV, I was even marveled. Say, what is happening? Are we not washing our dirty lining in public? So I wanted to even call the journalist to admonish him about what he have done, but not knowing it was a blessing in disguise. It's one of the most beautiful projects in the district. It comes with all the facilities. It is completion and finishing. 6 classroom blocks cost around 280 to 300,000 for the assembly. But when you talk about finishing and terrazzo and because this one is not an ordinary 6 classroom block, as we always say. This is ultra modern 6 classroom block. It has released assembly about 500,000 Ghana cedis.
For MTN, the Inshaiso project does not only give meaning to its everywhere you go slogan, but also a true definition of the telecom giant's resolve to improve education for the rural poor. Sam Cranton is Corporate Services Executive at MTN Ghana.
It is rather fulfilling and gratifying knowing when we first visited the site what we saw, and with the background stories we had, and to see where we are today, where we actually see the completion of what we started. It is something that is quite fulfilling, and MTN Ghana Foundation is very excited about it, that once again we've been able to complete and finish something that is unique and would be very beneficial to that community and the district at large. The expectation is that it would increase school attendance in the area. It would drastically reduce children dropping out of school because it would create a conducive learning environment for them, and it would boost education in that area because the children are the future of this country, and educating them is the responsibility of all of us.
From Insheso in Asante Achim Agogo for Joy News, Ohiminteria reporting.
Congratulations to Ohiminteria there, and it's really good to see that progress being made on that story. It's still live on The Pulse with me, Daniel Daze. Up next is sport. Stay with us.
Time now for the sport. I'm Gary Al Smith. Following the progression of PSG into the Champions League final after beating RB Leipzig, we are left with one team to complete the pair that will meet on Sunday. Bayern Munich will be playing Lyon today, and Lyon have vowed to beat their German counterparts to give us an all-French final. Now, let's go and do some previewing of this game with my colleague from Kumasi, Kelvin Owusu-Ansah from Love FM. Kelvin, thank you very much for joining us.
Hello, Gary. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so what are we expecting tonight following what we saw yesterday evening?
Well, I'm sure tonight many would expect that surprising package that comes from the Champions League, and we couldn't have it yesterday. Many thought that Leipzig were going to continue somewhat their fairy tale story, but PSG with their quality and expansive play just messed things up for the Red Bull lads. But this evening, with Bayern Munich on a quest to get a treble, and after winning the Champions League in 2013, they would really want to get back to their glory days in Europe and grab this trophy. It's within their reach, and you look at the teams left with PSG on the line, very tough side though, but you can't say when it comes to European competitions, Bayern comes second to them. No, PSG definitely will come second to them. This evening, I'm sure Hansi Flick, judging from what Lyon did to that is Juventus and also Manchester City, wouldn't take any chances. The Germans are going to go all guns blazing, and judging clearly from the two teams and their tactical play, I think Bayern will be more cautious. Looking at the 3-5-2, Rudy Garcia normally deployed. He looks at how he can continue double up his numbers in midfield, and clearly Bayern play with four attackers and just two men in the middle, Thiago and then Goretzka. So he'll try to take advantage of those loose ends in Bayern's play and capitalize on it. Probably it could be a very tough run for Bayern Munich, but sure, you look at the quality in the squad, and I still feel they stand a better chance of beating Olympic Lyon this evening. Nice. What's the plan? We know that Love FM will also be running commentary of this game. What's the broadcast plan for our viewers in Kumasi and its environs? Well, I think it will be almost the same plan, just like you. Right after the headline news at 6 p.m., 6:30, we're rolling into the game with some quick previews, and then we have the former Liberty Professionals coach, who is now with Techiman 11 Wonders, to roll us through the tactical plan, and then myself and Yahweh Dwamwako would roll in with the analysis bit. We have some bites from the fans, and then we'll pick some calls through on the thoughts of the fans. We hear from the two managers, that is Hansi Flick and then Rudy Garcia, and just at 6:55, we get ourselves ready to enter the action with live radio commentary, myself and the rest of the team, Coach Ignatius Oseifoso, and then now Dwapako. But we'll also be having currently on Insura 104.5 FM2. So for all those key account listeners, yes, you can tune into Insura 104.5 when you are in Kumasi and its environment. So thank you very much. Evening, and yeah, we are ready for action. All right, so that is the plan from the Ashanti region and its environment and its environs. Love FM, Insura FM will be having it here in Accra. It will be live on Asempa FM and on Joy FM and on Hits FM as well
All build-ups start at 6:30. That's the sport for now. I'm Gary L. Smith. And don't forget, we'll be live on Twitter also. In terms of updates, that starts at 6 p.m. on @JoySportsGH. Many thanks for your time. We'll see you soon.
And this is where we wrap up today's The Pulse on Joy News. My name is Daniel Daz. Many thanks for joining us. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com.